Crystal, Paula said to tell you hello, by the way.
Amber, have you talked to Councilmember Griffin? Gregory.
Not since earlier. I'll give him a call now.
Hey, Mayor Tecklenburg, please tell her I said hello as well.
I will.
I'll try to contact her on Facebook.
Please do. Watford is her married name. Y'all, Crystal and my daughter Paula were childhood friends and played sports together years ago. Small world.
Very small.
Councilmember Saccharin, it may fall on you to get us going here.
I think I can handle that. Amber, just let me know if anyone's been in touch with Councilman Gregory. If not, I'll get us started. Mayor, point of question in order for meetings like this. Do we need to do a invocation, or what sorts of functional things do we need to do with meetings like this?
Well, I'd highly recommend it. It's at the chairperson's call, but I'd recommend it.
Okay.
I don't think it could hurt us at all. It might help us a good deal.
We need all the help we can get, Mayor. That's right.
Exactly.
Well, let's get started, Amber. If you get in touch with Councilman Gregory, certainly put it in the chat box or let us know, but we'll get started. Everyone has a copy of the agenda, received a copy of the agenda from Amber. Just want to make sure, just from a housekeeping, we're all on that email list. Anyone not receive a copy from Amber?
Amber, I hate to admit, but I didn't see it. Maybe you're sending it to my other email address.
It should have come from Velvet.
Velvet, are you on?
Yes. Maybe I didn't, but I can send it right now.
All right. Any commission members besides the mayor not receive the agenda? Awesome, good. I'm going to call this really our second meeting for the Special Commission on Equity, Inclusion, and Racial Conciliation to order. I'm going to pick on Mr. Better, who has probably had a crazy day with his kids, and probably the last thing he wants to do is an invocation. But if you could just say a few words to get us started today, that'd be great, Michael. If you're there. Michael, can you hear me?
He went muted there.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to pivot, and I'm gonna ask Crystal Rouse, who is our chair for education and youth, to say a few words. Crystal, can you hear me? All right, I see Councilman Gregory on. Michael said his AirPods died, switching them up. I think I will just get us started right now with a quick invocation. I just want to welcome Councilman Gregory and everyone else that's on. I just want to say, the next 90 days are extremely important for all of us. As I said a couple weeks back, the work ahead of us is not only important, but it's extremely timely, and I would say that we have to move with a sense of urgency and intentionality. And I just hope we keep those two pieces in our mind as we continue with the work. I do want to say that, it's gotten off a little slow, but I do feel like we will pick up some speed and some momentum over the next couple of weeks as the subcommittees get together. But with that, I just want us to focus our work on making sure that we listen to each other and that we're respectful of each other, but we're also honest and authentic with each other. And in God's name, amen.
Amen.
So let's just jump in. Make sure I've got Councilman Gregory on. Are you hearing us and seeing us, Councilman Gregory?
Hello. I can hear.
All right, awesome.
I'm sorry, you've got Ross Appel in his office right now.
Hey, Ross, I can hear you. I've got Councilman Griffin as well, and Councilwoman Jackson and Councilwoman Del Chapo. Did I miss anybody? I don't see Councilman Waring, but we're going to move forward. Just to kind of jump us off to start on the agenda, I realize as a
yeah, I'm not familiar with this. You want me to give you a Clay's direct line?
Hey,
Sure.
Ross,
843
can you put us?
937 0401.
Ross, you might want to mute yourself.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Councilman Appel, you might want to mute yourself. Thanks. So as we get started, I know many of the chairs for the subcommittees had questions about, their subcommittee members, the process. So I'm really going to spend some time today really talking about the process from a nuts and bolts kind of homework, or nuts and bolts from what needs to get done over the next couple of weeks. Just trying to put myself in your shoes. Those are the questions I would be asking right now. Are what are our next steps? So the goal of today's meeting is really to plan out and navigate what the next couple of weeks are going to look like for our commission. So the main question is the makeup of the commission, and I just want to review that so we're all aware. Did you all receive the planning document? We've called it, the planning document. We've called it the white paper, the concept paper. Have you all received that from Amber? Has anyone has anyone not received that from Amber? Awesome. And Amber, correct me if I'm wrong, have we sent the list of current subcommittee names to the chairs at this point?
Yes, they all received the list on Friday.
Okay, so you all have the list of all the folks that had, asked us or had submitted their names for consideration. So each of you all have that list. Anyone not receive that list? Just want to make sure we're working from the same list. Awesome. So as you have that list, we're asking everyone to finalize their subcommittee names by Wednesday, September 14th. So that means that of that list that you have, we ask you to kind of look at those names. And I'm sure Amber, John, myself, and the mayor and Councilman Gregory have no issue. If there is someone on that list that has not reached out, you think would be a good fit, as chair, we want to give you the courtesy to reach out to a person or two and have us consider them to be added to that list. As you all know, that really is a list of a chair, which is yourself, a vice chair, and I believe John and Amber are going to be working with you on the vice chair nomination. And then there's 5 open spots. It's my understanding, based on some feedback last week, Mayor Tecklenburg is going to want to look at these subcommittees. He may have a name or two that he may want to add to that list as well. So hopefully the goal of that is by the end of this week, you all will have submitted your names and the mayor will have a chance to look at the subcommittee names. We can kind of finalize that heading into next week. That's the goal. Anyone have any questions or comments or concerns regarding the subcommittee makeup or challenges?
Yes, I have a question. We do have some names that we were gonna, after this, but how will we do that? So the application is still open for them to go into it, or we just submit that to Amber?
You're breaking up, Darren, but I think what you're asking was, I believe the application process is closed, correct? I think it closed last week. But if you have a person that you've worked with and that you want to recommend, just ask, just get with Amber.
Listening to a call.
Amber gets a resume from them. but we really want to finalize that this week. We've got to move forward. We've got to get these subcommittees formed. Does that answer to your question, Darren? All right, Mayor?
I had a question. I don't, this is Tracy.
Yes.
Do we have to fill every slot, or can we leave a slot open to see how our subcommittee starts moving forward in case there is an area that we may want to focus more on? Like I'm thinking maybe a lending position on the housing committee might be helpful, but I don't know exactly where we'll be going yet. Do we have to fill in every slot at this point? Thank you.
That's a good question. I mean, I'd leave that open for discussion, but my personal feeling is you're the chair of that subcommittee, and I think you have the right to operate it and proceed as you see fit. And if you feel a need for an additional position and you want to hold off, I'm fine with that. I know Mayor had his hand up. Mayor, you were going to ask a question?
I was just going to remind everyone to mute their phones if they're not speaking. Someone or another had some noise coming through, that's all.
All right. Councilman Gregory, any thoughts on Tracy's question?
Well, I think that Tracy is correct. I took a look at the list, and when you compare the list with the subject matter, I agree. They may not have the expertise necessary in the list to do what they need to do. So I do think that we need to have some flexibility there. Some lists are better than others, as we all can see. But I think that we need to give them the flexibility to put the kind of expertise that they think needs to be there. And I had a similar conversation with Dr. Rivers, who has the same concern that Tracy has. So I think that, we should be flexible enough. Don't you agree with us, Mayor?
Well, absolutely. And I think we can ask folks who have particular expertise and resources to come to the table. And I'll give you an example. I was on the phone this morning with Dr. Cole at the medical university, and I advised him as to what we were up to here. And he was willing to help. And he said they're pulling together information about all the different programs, if you will, that MUSC is working on regarding health disparities. And so I think we ought to be bold and reach out to those sources of information, expertise, wherever need be.
Does that answer your question, Tracy? So,
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
That just, speaks to our, our trust in you all in terms of commission chairs. We really want you to own these subcommittees and really take ownership in how it functions and really thinking through the recommendations. So this is a good segue, Tracy, into my next point about council members. There was a couple questions about, so what role do the council members have on the subcommittees? We're not members of any individual subcommittee. Personally, I'm going to be bouncing around to all of them, of course, and I'm not going to speak for Councilman Gregory, but I'm sure he'll be doing the same. We know we have certain council members that have an affinity for a certain area, so I'm sure they're going to be involved. But we are not members of any particular subcommittee. We are there to answer questions. Certainly, we will weigh in on items, but we are there to answer questions and help just kind of facilitate the process. Any questions about our involvement as council members? Again, our goal is to finalize the subcommittees by the end of this week. Another question that I know folks have are, as you prepare for your first meeting, what is the goal of that first meeting and what's that supposed to look like? As Councilman Gregory and Amber and John have learned about me, I'm a process guy in many ways, and I really want to make sure that the process is solid and at least we have a good foundation and framework to work from. So I would really encourage the chairs to think about your first meeting as a twofold goal. First goal is really housekeeping items. Now, when are you going to meet? Making sure everyone has email addresses and shared information. How long are you going to meet? We also have staff members that are assisting. So Amber and John. Amber, can you talk a little bit about the staff that will be assisting in each one of these subcommittees?
So we've asked 2 to 3 staff members per subcommittee to assist with providing with institutional information regarding the subcommittees. So we're going to send out an email with all of their contact information so that we can make sure that they're able to come to all of the meetings and provide you with those resources.
And if I might add, most of the folks that are staff, that are city staff, they will bring a certain expertise to your subcommittee. For instance, if we're talking about economic empowerment, well, of course, our MBE, WBE people will be at that table, and et cetera. So what Amber and Mitchell did was to identify staff that has the expertise that can be supportive in the area that you're responsible for. So we're just not throwing people out there. These are people that will bring some expertise to the table. That's one of the mayor's commitment, to make sure that all staff actually is available for this effort.
Thank you, Councilman Gregory.
Question.
Mayor, did you want to weigh in on that at all or add anything to that?
Jason, I have a question real quick.
Sure.
With the staff support and whatnot, so say with the internal review committee, as we try to pull some information from different departments, we won't have to go through a FOIA process, right?
I
don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, this is a city operated organization. The commission is sponsored by the city, so I don't see why we would have to. I mean, the one thing that we have to be very careful about is how we couch our findings, our concerns. I mean, the last thing that we want is for somebody to say the city's breaking the law. Okay, so I think that we have to be very, very careful in terms of how we couch our recommendations and our findings. That is not to say that if something is happening that is unintentional, that we won't correct it immediately. I mean, the mayor's been pretty clear on that with us. We call that the low-hanging fruit. But again, I mean, it's not gonna, I don't think that that's gonna be an issue for you at all.
Right.
What was the question again, Darren?
I'm looking at the data gathering process. Since we will have staff support, will we have to go through a FOIA process to receive some of that?
No, anything coming to or from city staff though would be subject to a FOIA request if somebody just happened to want to request it. It by virtue of being city business, it's subject to a FOIA request, but I don't see any other requirement beyond that.
And to add to that, Mayor, and I'm not sure if Darren, if you're asking, there shouldn't be a delay. I mean, I feel like when we make a request for data, it should be expedited given the nature of the work that we're trying to do. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's what I really wanted to try to get at too.
I gotcha.
So Jason, I guess real quick to follow up on Darren's question, to whom should we make requests and when can we start making those requests?
It's a good question. I'm going to defer to Amber. I mean, Amber is the staff person that's leading this process. She has been, the conduit for all information. So Amber, I'm not sure if that you suggest that be you or if you want to be facilitating those requests. So you could feel free to weigh in on what your preference is.
So I'm going to get you the contact information for the staff persons that are going to assist you for your specific committee, and then you could reach out to them.
So if Elvin or Darren have a data request, they would work through those staff people that we've assigned to those subcommittees, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that
I
good?
would recommend that you copy Amber on everything that you do, though.
Yes. Elvin, is that sufficient? All right. The other part of our, gathering and getting ready for that first meeting, I do know Amber had mentioned making sure that, we had some of the housekeeping items out of the way, but also from a training perspective, making sure that we're all speaking the same language and understanding why we're doing the work that we're doing. Amber, I'm not sure if you want to weigh in here on what your thoughts were on training each subcommittee member, if it was going to be staggered, or how that would work. But can you just share with us your thoughts?
As of right now, we were only going to do the training for the commission members, just because it's easier to do virtually with a smaller group with the breakout sessions. So that's where we are currently.
And if I'm a commission member and, we have our first meeting, and out of that first meeting, there seems to be a request or a need for additional training, would you all be available to participate and help those subcommittees?
We will.
Okay. So that's where I see, at least half of the work for the goal of the first subcommittee meeting is really, establishing some meeting norms, using the right language. We're asking everyone to hold their first subcommittee meetings the week of September 28th. So that gives us gives you all some time to finalize those lists, reach out to folks and give them ample time to get ready for that meeting. I do want to talk specifics or just logistics about in-person versus Zoom. My guess is Mayor and Amber and John, we are certainly not supporting in-person meetings, or unless they're small meetings. What is the rule for that? Anyone?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, John.
Yeah, my recommendation would be to go Zoom first or virtual at all possible. And then if there were a need to meet in person, to bring special requests to Amber so that we can make that determination.
So even if they're chair, vice chair, and it's 7 people, we're recommending they not meet in person, even for a small group like that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Chairs, I certainly would like your opinions, and as things progress on how difficult it is. It has been difficult for us to get these meetings organized and scheduled and coordinated in a virtual world. So as things open up and the numbers improve, I certainly want to hear from you all about some of the concerns or changes you all would like to make around meeting. So just to be clear, we are making sure that we're doing Zoom meetings for the first, at least for the first subcommittee meeting that you all are scheduling.
That's fine. I mean,
ahead,
I think a lot of it will just be dictated upon the data that we're reviewing, and making sure that all the committee members have access to that information. For example, for mine being the criminal justice reform, a lot of the audit is something that all of my committee members will be able to access. But if it's something in regards to like the economics, there may be data that can be distributed via Zoom or via WebEx that they may have to meet in person if it's not distributed by Amber out to the other committee members. But I guess it's just, like I said, a case-by-case basis.
All right.
Dr. Knight had her hand raised.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Knight.
Firstly, good evening, everyone. I apologize for my late arrival. I had to teach a graduate class tonight. So on this subject of subcommittee meetings, you may have already covered this, Councilman Saccharin, but are these subcommittee meetings also going to be streamed live on YouTube like this meeting?
That's a great question, and we didn't cover it. That was had a question in my head, but I forgot about it. But thank you for mentioning it, because that was the question. Is there anything we need to do around the public notice for the subcommittee meetings? And if so, that was the first question. I guess the second question is Dr. Knight's. Are we planning to stream these live? I guess John or Amber, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the subcommittee meetings, they don't have the same. Okay, hold on.
Can you hear me better now? Okay.
There's an echo.
So,
John.
yeah, is the echo gone?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. For the subcommittee meetings, they don't have the same requirements regarding the public notice, and they would not immediately be going to YouTube. Naturally, it is to the chairs of those subcommittees how they would want to provide access to their meetings. And therefore, it doesn't hold to the same standard as the larger commission meeting of council. The subcommittees would not have to put out the week's notice and things of that nature.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the second question for Dr. Knight was, will they be live streamed? We've discussed making sure that they are recorded and then posted, just like, so if we're going to continue with Zoom, we can certainly record these and then post them right to our, the city council, the city of Charleston website, so folks can review them if they need them. But I have not made a decision, or I don't think we've made a decision on whether they're going to be live streamed.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so just to clarify, we will be recording our subcommittee meetings that are held by Zoom. And I guess that would mean then that if you have any meeting that is not over Zoom, it would have to be recorded in some way?
That's a good question. I think the assumption that we were making was in terms of agenda items and notating, what was being said. If we were still in this Zoom stature, we would record the Zoom meetings. If we ever started meeting in person, I guess we'd have to determine how we would transition to that. The reason we chose to made the idea of actually recording this was just it would be easier on note taking. It would be easier on what agenda items were discussed. But I think we're open to ideas and suggestions. If you think it's too much work.
If I'm not mistaken, the recording has really become the minute.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
That's what we talked about a couple of weeks back, Councilman.
Because the commission's meetings will be recorded and will be transcribed. Am I correct? The commission, not the subcommittees, but the commission, like us.
That's my.
Yes.
Yeah, Tracy, you had a question?
Yes, I was just going to ask, will Amber and John set up the Zoom for our subcommittee meetings as well, or will we do that on our own?
That's a good question.
I think.
Yeah, so I just put in the chat, just the answer to that question, Tracy. Our preference of the subcommittee meetings will be scheduled through our clerk's office and scheduled via Zoom. Our own Zoom profiles as opposed to using your own individual ones is the question that Crystal had in that arena.
You were muffled. I'm not sure what you said, John.
I can repeat it. So John is basically mentioning that the subcommittee meetings will be scheduled through the clerk's office, and the City of Charleston link will be used. That way the commission chairs don't have to create any Zooms from their personal Zoom accounts. And it's my understanding that our staff or whoever creates that link should be able to record the Zoom meetings. Now, if we ever meet in person, that's a good question. I'm not sure we have to address that now, but any thoughts on if we do end up meeting in person, if we need to record them? I guess we'll just have to take notes.
Yeah, I would think that my assumption would be that there would be someone who would be taking notes and then could post minutes in that case,
right.
Written minutes. That's what I would assume, but I don't know because I'm new to all of this.
Councilwoman Del Chapo?
I would just prefer that rather than us making assumptions, we just get exact clarification, whether it has to be from legal or the clerk's office as to exactly how we handle subcommittees, and both in person and virtual.
Okay. Amber or John, could we follow up with that? And then Darren, you have a question?
Yes, quick question. For everything that we bring in as our work start, where are we supposed to house it? Do we have a Google Access folder or anything that we can house all of our information, particularly with meeting minutes, agendas, any documentation that we bring in?
And that's another great question. I know Amber has shared and created a commission shared folder in Google. Amber, can you talk to us a little bit about that? I know she shared it with me, and I would expect that to be shared with everybody on the call. Amber?
I have created a folder that I've just been using for the co-chairs and John, but I will follow up with you regarding where we can house all of our information.
I would strongly.
We will have to come up with.
Go ahead, John.
Sorry. Yeah, we will have to come up with a solution for that. The city does have some options that would be available to us for sharing that information, but it would not be able to be shared via Google permanently for the entirety of the group. But again, that information we will have for you all so that you can gain access to it and have access to all the files that are being shared.
So I guess I'm not sure that. So are they not allowed to, so if our individual commission chairs have Google accounts, we can't use Google to share the documents?
That's a question you're asking.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah. We would not be able to use the Google share for the entire commission.
I'm sorry, I can't hear a word you're saying.
He's saying that we would not be able to use the Google Drive, a shared drive for the entire commission. And again, I think
why not?
I would just rather us err on the side of caution and get some definitives, because I don't want someone inadvertently thinking that they're doing absolutely the right thing, and it turns out it is not appropriate policy for a government.
So yeah, I'm assuming there needs to be some level of encryption rather than like a public format such as Google Drive, if that's the case.
I work for the school district, and we have Google Drive that we use throughout the whole entire district for products and activities such as this. It is encrypted because it's only shareable with certain folks. So I do think we have a technology concern that we need to get over and try to find some solutions over the next week or two. And then to Councilwoman Del Chapo's point, also looking, following up with legal regarding what are the requirements for the subcommittee meetings in terms of recording and taking notes. Is that correct, Councilwoman?
Yes, and as far as documentation, again, do we get into something, where, for example, our city emails are open for public record should somebody so want them. And I think we need to get more specific on, I don't know how this works with other commissions where you have, public, private folks all working together on the same commission. So I would just feel more comfortable if we have some definitive answers around that, rather than we're kind of speculating and we don't know for sure. Like I said, I don't want somebody with the best of intentions and really thinking that they're following the guidelines to inadvertently be doing something wrong and get themselves in trouble or anything like that. It's not worth it. Let's just get the clarification.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We will. Amber and John, is that something that we can look into?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions about the subcommittee meeting makeup, membership? I don't see any other hands. We can transition now to Councilmember Gregory's portion, which is really some of the resources that are going to be devoted to this effort. I know some of you all had questions about, time, resources, what the city's is helping us with the commission. So Councilman Gregory,
I'd like to follow up with Crystal, because Crystal raised the question at the last meeting.
Sure.
Budget. Crystal, specifically, what were you asking? A budget for committees, a budget for commission? I wasn't sure.
I'm thinking a budget for the work to actually be executed. because when it comes to actually doing the trainings and that could potentially come out of committees recommendations, those could potentially come with the cost for facilitation, for space, for if we need a grant writer to help write grants for the work that we're recommending through committees, just an overall budget for anything that could be connected to this work.
Okay, we haven't gotten as specific with respect to each committee, but I can tell you overall, there are some funds that we are going to have to support the effort. One, the equity indicators, that's going to cost. That's going to cost the city money. How much? I don't know. What kind of commitment? Don't know. We have to talk to the mayor and our budget people, because we're looking at the 2021 budget now, so the timing is perfect. The same thing with respect to the internal assessment. That's going to cost. Have we been having discussions with regard to these costs? Yes, we have. Are we prepared to make it public? No, we're not. Not at this point. Because I think that that's going to require extensive discussions with our budget office and of course the mayor. The other thing that's going to cost is the government alliance, race and equity piece. Just in terms of thinking about numbers in general, with these just reports, we're already over $150,000. Okay, so again, that's going to require us to have some discussions with Amy Wharton, as well as the mayor, in terms of what we will put in the 2021 budget specifically for these functions. But I don't think that we should stop what we're doing, okay? That whatever we can do without resources right now, we do. And I also think in terms of resources, the staff members who will be a part of your committee is a resource. And perhaps even a resource in terms of identifying where monies may come from for your specific committee to do what they want to do. That's why we've got them there, okay? So until we can get through our budgetary process to make sure that the funds are in fact available, the mayor has committed, but we still have to make sure that it's available. We'll let you guys know after we've completed the 2021 budget. But in the interim, I think that you should talk with the city staff persons that are assigned to your commission, because you'll be surprised at what they may be able to come up with. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any questions? I like 1 hour meetings myself. Any questions about the budget? And one thing I'd like to, I know you see Ross Appel on our screen. He is a city council member. And any city council member at any point in time can log in to these discussions, particularly if they have an interest. And we know that Ross has an interest in a specific area. And he'll be working with Darren on the zoning issues of the internal stuff. So you may see council members' faces that are not formally members of the commission pop up, okay? So don't be alarmed.
Thank you, Councilman Gregory. Amber, could you also talk to us a little bit about some of the training that we're planning to do and you know, some of the frameworks that you've already created in terms of you know, resources. It might not be financial, but you know, a little bit of background about your expertise that you can help with. I just want folks to understand that besides the financial piece, that there are, you know, some additional trainings that you're going to spearhead.
So the plan is to, before we get too far into our committees and to the work that you're doing specifically, is to have a facilitator come in just to lay some groundwork, to create some common language and understanding, to help us develop some group norms, and to have some discussion regarding how we're going to make decisions and resolve conflict through an equity lens. Because we're dealing in equity, Robert's rules doesn't always work for us. So just having that kind of discussion about what that looks like for a commission like this. And that's kind of the groundwork that we want to lay before we really get started on the work. So that's going to happen really soon.
Thanks, Amber. So another point that I wanted to mention to everybody is, this is a commission that I feel, is charting a course for not just a new Charleston, but hopefully the recommendations are ambitious and, outside the box. But I would ask each of you, and you all don't know me very well enough, if at some point you feel frustrated with the process, or you feel that the process is not moving at the pace or the rate that you intended it to, or you think that there's a way that we can improve on how we communicate with you all, I certainly want to hear that as co-chair. It's my goal to make sure that this really is something that is unique in terms of the city's approach, and it's really run and pushed by you all as chairs. So I'm really going to look for honest assessments all along the way with check-ins. And you have my email and you have my phone number. You can text me. I really want to be a resource for you, in particular when you're feeling challenged or stressed, or you feel like you have a good idea and it's not being implemented. I certainly want it to be your ears for that. I don't really have anything else in terms of the subcommittees. I know Councilman Gregory talked to you a little bit about resources from the city, from a staffing. Amber mentioned some of the training pieces. Is there any other questions about the next 2 weeks? You all have a chance to look at the City of Charleston, the webpage that we've created with Amber and John's help. That goal of that page would be to update that regularly with new documents. I did get a request from a constituent to actually print up the Avery report. I'm not sure if we have a print copy of that has been distributed. Go ahead.
I have plenty of print copies, so
Okay.
just let me know. I can drop them off over at City Hall, and you can distribute them from there. But I will bring a whole box to you.
All right. Thank you.
And plus, there's a link, right?
Yeah, there is, but this particular constituent was adamant about having the actual paper document.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, I'll go next. Who's that? Go ahead.
Was Felice Knight. What is the website to which you were referring? Did y'all talk about that before I was able to get on?
Sure. So there is a landing page or a website that is within the City of Charleston website. I would ask Amber and John, if you're on, to figure out how do we highlight the work. It's kind of buried in that. Is there a way to have a quick link from the main page that shows, I guess, is there a news section in the website, the City of Charleston website? Like up like recent news or?
Are you asking if it's on the?
Oh, I was sent the link, but when I go to the website, there's nothing on the website that says that the commission has started, and I can click on a link. So I would have to search for it essentially. So is there a way to make the announcement or work in conjunction with the press release or something on the main page?
Right. So you're talking about like when you first click on the web page, how it has information about COVID-19 and information about hurricanes and things like that, right? As soon as you land on the page?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll take a look into that for you, Councilman Sackler.
All right. So I guess from someone from the general public, and maybe this is Dr. Knight's question, I'm not really sure how they would find out information unless they knew the actual link itself and typed in the link. So
Yeah, and to that end, I'll add it's charleston-sc.gov/equity commission.
and could you add that into the chat box, Amber, John?
Absolutely.
And commission chairs, if you can give that a review when you do have time over the next couple days. Again, any suggestions that you have for changes on that, please get with Amber on those suggestions.
So, Mr. Co-Chair, we're going to get our subcommittees picked out by the end of this week, correct?
That's correct.
And did we preset dates for the subcommittee meetings? I feel an urgency to kind of get going here. And even if we are looking to get those members set up by the end of the week, to try to at least have the subcommittees meet next week and kind of get started.
I'm completely fine with that. I can't speak for Councilman Gregory. I just wanted to make sure that we gave our chairs enough time to go through that list, to make sure you had time to weigh in on that list, and then also give ample time to the subcommittee members to rearrange their schedules. So I'm fine with you all meeting prior to the September 28th date. That was just something we built into the calendar for you all. Is that what you're referring to, Mayor? Just trying to get it done beforehand?
Yeah, I feel like we're ready to get going here.
All right.
I'll add that the reason we not went ahead and put in calendar dates ahead of time is because we wanted to give access to everybody in the subcommittees to create their own schedule that was fitting for the members of that subcommittee. Just like this meeting on a Monday actually does not match well with Dr. Knight's schedule. There may be other persons that have other like issues, and we were just trying to find a way that was easier to get past some of those barriers.
I understand, but to the extent possible.
I'm with you, Mayor. It's time to get this thing rolling. We've got to just make sure that they've got what they need to do it. And I mean, that's really my question to all the other commissioners. And chime in, Councilwoman Jackson or Del Chapo or anybody. I mean, do you think you have enough to get started? Then you can be very honest and say, hell no, if you don't. Okay, Councilwoman Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do think that we have the bones of getting started. You all know me that know me. I'm sort of the let's just start and see what we don't know and then make it up and get it. I feel like we could be trying to make the perfect out of what we already know is going to be good. So just on that basis, I did give Tracy the opportunity to ask a question that she and I were talking about earlier today, and I think it's an excellent sort of way of us to maybe think about how we're not in a vacuum here in Charleston, in the region, in the United States of America, by agreeing that we're long overdue and taking seriously and intentionally in the way that Council Member Jason has been educating us to think. But I do feel like Tracy brought up a very good particular question to me today that I would like for her to ask and have the commission, maybe it will hang out there for another meeting or two, but I do think it's really worthy of the kind of thinking that we should be doing about how we're not doing this alone. We're doing this in a community that is stirred up and ready to go, and we're just playing our part. That's the way that I see it personally. Thanks.
Tracy?
Thank you, Councilmember Jackson. Yeah, so my question was, after reading some of the information that Amber forwarded about the Charleston Forum and the work that they're doing, and it seems like, I know they have been doing some workshops and panels over the last few years, but it seems like they're getting to the point of making recommendations as well. And so my question was, there are other groups doing things. How do we interface and overlap with some of those groups so that we're not recreating the wheel and we're recognizing some of the things that are already happening? And will there be some communication between this commission and groups like that?
The answer is yes, and that's a part of the reason why we started sending you guys these links, so that you would in fact be aware of other organizations that are doing similar things, and that we need to partner with them instead of reinventing the wheel. The forum is, I think the forum surveys are very exciting, and that it touches every single area that our committees are responsible for, and some. And you're correct, they're coming out with recommendations in a year in terms of how to address the various disparities that we're really discussing right here. So one thing that I know Amber and I have been talking about is to make sure that we put all the links of all the partners and all the organizations that are doing similar work so that we can have access. But in addition, at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amber, they will be invited to talk to the commission about what they're doing and how we can help. So there will be some kinds of public hearings, I think, that Amber has been talking about doing, because I agree with you, there's no need in us reinventing the wheel. A lot of people are involved in many of the issues that we're dealing with. So yes, we have to partner.
Sorry, it just occurred to me to that end. Are there documents that the forum has created, or I think everything that we got today, Amber, was that Post and Courier stories, which were, I thought, really well done at the time. Do we have a direct connection to things that the forum has produced?
One of the things that we are going to do is we're going to meet with Duffy, okay, and have some discussions with him in terms of how we can link things together. But I think their web has the larger study on it. So what we need to do is just connect you with the Charleston Forum website, and it has a much more complete study as opposed to what we got in the newspaper.
Good, that's good. I have.
Thank you, Councilman Jack. Mike, you have a question?
No, I just want to make sure that I'm correct with like the timeline. I mean, and given what the mayor said, I'm completely on board with that as well. I mean, we have, I would say, 16th in the next 2 days, we should have finalized a list of the subcommittee members. I would say by Friday, we'd at least be able to make sure that they're aware of those selections. I mean, because next week should be more than enough time in regards to having that subcommittee on board and rolling. I mean, just touching base with Amber as far as any connections that would need to be made as far as trainings prior to our initial individual committee meetings. We could do that this week. Yeah, because like I said, like how Councilman Gregory and the mayor said, I mean, it's really time to get the ball rolling. I mean, we've had the opportunity to review the audit. We have the opportunity to review all the information that Amber's done an exceptional job at forwarding. I've looked over the form, and every 2 seconds I'm either getting an email from Amber or John. So, but we have a lot of the material, and now it's more so, like you guys said, it's putting pretty much pencil to paper and foot to ground to get the ball rolling.
Thank you, Michael. Heard. Let's get moving. Anything else from the group? Anyone else in terms of the subcommittee questions or the next couple steps for the next couple of weeks?
I think that Michael's going to probably have one of the toughest times from that list he has. Wow. It's unbelievable.
I'm going to use every bit of the time I have given. The good thing though is the good thing there we have some very well qualified individuals, so we're not short of any talent or expertise on my end for criminal justice reform. It's just a matter of selecting them.
And I think the same thing holds true with Dr. Knight. You've got a pretty good list too.
I am really looking forward to, just, it's not going to be easy, but I appreciate all the work that has gone into it, at the ground level and the list that I've been given. So, yep, get the ball rolling here.
I'm ready. Okay.
Is there anything else for today? Amber, I guess one question before we do jump off in terms of next steps. So all of us are we on a shared email? Do we have that yet for this group?
A shared email?
Yeah, is there an email list for this group?
There has been a list shared with contact information for the community members.
Okay. Is it possible to share basically a commission email list that all of us are on, that we could respond to, very similar to like the city of Charleston, our council, all the council members are on there. I think it'd be beneficial for us to share information, and everyone in the commission, particularly the chairs, are on that same list.
I can do that.
Thank you.
I think what Velvet sent out on Friday to give us the agenda had all of the addresses of everybody that are, are part of the commission.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order for today? It's 6:30. Yes.
Did we talk about changing these meetings to Tuesday instead of Wednesday? So
Uh,
that we can accommodate Dr. Knight, and do we get a consensus agreement on that?
We did not talk about the meeting schedule. Amber, you want to weigh in on that?
Tuesday. Is Tuesday better than Monday?
Yes.
For me, Tuesday is better than Monday, as I do have to teach the graduate class on Mondays.
Okay.
That is a work obligation.
Okay. Tuesday's okay with everybody else?
Except when we have city council.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we aren't, our timeline doesn't have us meeting on city council weeks.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
So Tuesdays it is.
All right. I will probably call each one of you. I've already started those conversations, and I'll continue those this week, just to give you some sense of where my head is and Councilman Saccharin's head is. Oh, we're calling each other Jason.
Yes, it's Jason. That's right. I forgot.
I'm already looking forward to your call.
Okay. You know I'm gonna call you Mayor.
And I'll be doing the same. Anything else for today?
No, I think we did good for an hour.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you all.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. I'll call you, Felice.
All right, wonderful. Look forward to that.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, good night. Bye.